Hi. Okay, first of all, I'm going to say I completely predicted this, that I would be whispering to you in my PJs because Vivi's asleep to get this video done. And sure enough, here we are. So if you're doing this kind of in real time with me, I apologize that this is late today, really late. Our sitter was sick, so literally had no time until she went to bed to do it. Um, and so I'm out on my balcony, which is actually wonderful out here. It is gorgeous. The moon is overhead. I have this horrible balcony light for lighting. But the weather is fantastic. It almost feels like Costa Rica or something. It's really amazing. These hot days are whew, but the nights are so beautiful and wonderful. So here we are, bad lighting, and all on sense number 10, which is hearing. And I'm going to read the entire sense to you. This is the first feeling sense, and it is hearing, including resonance, vibration. Oh my gosh, the lighting is so bad out here. Sonar, and ultrasonic frequencies. Okay, so let's take those kind of one by one in terms of sort of what I wanted to say about them today. So the first one is resonance. So everything has a frequency that it vibrates at, human beings included. And something interesting I learned when I was doing a little research for this is the Schumann resonance. And so what this is that humans also vibrate at the same frequency as the Earth, and that is at 7.83 hertz. And apparently this is when human beings are in a state of consciousness at optimal alpha brain waves. So I would imagine that this is one of those things that while we're not consciously aware of and could give a number for what hertz we are vibrating at least I cannot, I would imagine this is one of those things that we are aware of subconsciously, our vibration, literally our vibration. We're always saying like, I don't like his vibe or that kind of thing, but literally we are vibrating at different frequencies. There's a book called Letting Go that I will link below as well. And it talks about different frequencies of different states of consciousness. It's really fascinating. So I'm going to link that below as well in case you're interested in that. So that's what I wanted to say about resonance, that we are most likely subconsciously aware of, and definitely even consciously aware of, how that vibration is feeling in our body, and it presents as certain emotions, right, or certain states of being. So if you want to go more into that, I highly recommend the book Letting Go. So the second thing on here, vibration, just very briefly, I already mentioned everything has a frequency that it vibrates at, and vibration is what we are interpreting with our brain. The vibration sound waves enter our ears and eventually get to the hair cells inside the cochlea, and there's a chemical reaction that occurs when those hair cells in the cochlea are bending, and that chemical response is what our brain then interprets as sound. So interesting, right? So I have been a speech pathologist for 20 years, 20 plus, and so I did a lot of classes on hearing. That's part of it, audiology classes, and so this is something I'm actually quite familiar with, and just something that, I thought on a basic level we wanted to kind of just go over. So let's see, what is the next thing? The next thing is sonar. So I actually had to look up sonar because I wasn't sure if sonar was specific to water or not. And it seems to be that it is actually not, that it can be used to reference navigation in water, but sonar actually stands for, I did not know this, maybe you did, sound navigation and ranging, which is just the process of listening to specific sounds to determine where objects are located. So I thought that was really interesting. And then there is biosonar, which is echolocation used by living creatures, including us. So we know about dolphins using sonar. We know about bats also locating that way, using echolocation. And humans can also be trained to use echolocation. And in fact, blind people have done this for a long time. But anyone can be trained to make specific sounds and then listen for their echo to find, for instance, how close a wall is, or determine the difference between the echo of a tree rather than a wall, for instance. So interesting that we have that sense. That's one of those senses that we just biologically have. But we just seem to not really have a need for it. We're not really navigating around dark areas, except for me tonight on my balcony. But it's one of those skills that, because of our current state of things where we have lights all the time, we just don't need to develop that skill. So we don't. But if we have to, if we go blind or in dark surroundings, we can learn to do that rather quickly within a couple of weeks. So I thought that was very interesting. Okay, what is the next thing? I think there's only one thing left, which is ultrasonic frequencies. So this is interesting. Ultrasonic frequencies are frequencies that typically humans cannot perceive. However, there are people that hear ultrasonic frequencies, and those are very, very high frequencies, very, very high pitched sounds. And a lot of machinery apparently makes super high pitched sounds, or some machinery, some lighting, I believe. And then also some animals like bats use ultrasonic frequencies to echolocate. And typically, like I said, humans aren't aware of those sounds. They're outside of our the spectrum of frequencies that we can perceive as sound. However, there are some people that can hear those sounds, and they will typically be kind of noxious, and they will experience tinnitus, which is ringing of the ears. They can experience nausea and headaches and other physical symptoms. And a lot of times it takes a long time to figure out what's going on because other people don't hear these sounds. So they appear kind of crazy, like, no, there's nothing there. But actually, if they go in and do testing, these people are actually hearing ultrasonic frequencies. So interesting, right? So we have these superpowers that we seem to be able to tap into. Ultrasonic frequencies depends on your level of hearing. So typically young people have better hearing. Women have better hearing typically than men. So it just kind of depends on what your hearing is like. I used to do, when I was in school for speech pathology, we used to go do audiograms for people, and I always found that really, really fascinating. And definitely people's level of hearing is, there's quite a range there. So if that's you and you are hearing things and people are telling you you're not, you probably are. So that kind of covers this sense. And for the activity today, it's actually perfect that I'm out here at night because I'm listening. And that's what I wanted to do for the activity today. So I think I forgot to mention it, but if you haven't journaled, go ahead and journal today. Journal your 1 to 10 mood, and then journal whatever you feel to journal about your life. And then if you can, even if you're listening to this real time today, if you can, step outside if you have a balcony or a backyard, or if you don't, if there's just an area you can kind of hang out in for a little bit, for a few minutes, and just have a listen. I feel like this is something, although this is a sense that we are obviously very aware of, that it's something that we kind of don't use in terms of just sitting and listening. It's kind of a meditative exercise. So the exercise today is to just go into wild nature, find a place that you are drawn to being. For me, it's on my balcony tonight. And it's perfect. I have these beautiful new plants. Oh gosh, you're not going to be able to see any of this. It's a little too dark. Anyway, I've got all of these beautiful new plants that Vivi and I picked up today to plant. And it's actually really wonderful being out here. I wonder if I can show you the moon. Let's see, here are these are my lights. My little lights. Where's the moon? I really wanted to be able to show you this. That's my balcony roof. There it is. That doesn't look so impressive on here. Anyway, it's actually a really wonderful place to do this exercise. So just sit outside if you can. If you can't, sit inside and listen to whatever you hear. But if you can at all, get outside. And this is amazing to be out under the sky and the stars and the moon. And I want to do this every night now. This is so great. I just happened to be out here because Vivi was sleeping and I hadn't done this video yet. So just listen, just sit in silence, maybe close your eyes, maybe not, and take a listen and see what sounds you can hear. Just very briefly, I'll do that with you right now. So I'm right on a street, so I'm hearing cars. Vivi and I do this sometimes. We'll just listen. We start our meditation like this when we meditate. So I'm hearing people's air conditioning. I'm hearing the breeze in the leaves of the trees. There's a tree right here. Oh man, it looks so light in real life, but on the screen you can't see it at all. I'm actually hearing the hum of the pool heater, I believe. It's not very far from me. I'm hearing crickets. I'm hearing someone talking. I'm right by a sidewalk too. So if you can go 10 minutes or so maybe and just listen, what I notice is I start to listen, I start to hear different layers of sound. And a lot of times here I'll hear coyotes and owls, lots of things at night, and in the daytime all kinds of birds. We just sit here on the balcony and watch birds and listen to them. So that's it for today, and just really kind of sink into where you are and what you're listening to, and enjoy a few minutes of silence here at the end of the day if you're doing this with me today. And whenever you're doing it, just enjoy silence for a little bit if that's what you're listening to. So thanks for being with me on this, and I'll see you tomorrow for the second feeling sense. Have a good night.